Hi, guys. This is Dr. Cheryl Schmidt from Vital Chiropractic. Thank you for joining us here today again, and I am happy to have Quincey Ackerman today with us, and we're going to talk about placentas and what we can do with our placentas. Quincey is a local doula and placenta specialty services. That's what she does up here in Bellingham, Washington. So she's been doing this for a few years now, because I know that she did my placenta a year and a half ago or so, and I know she's been doing it since before then. So we're just going to get right into the nuts and bolts and the gritty details of what goes on after you have your baby and you have this placenta that you want to do awesome things with. So Quincey, introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you, and we'll get into it.
Hi, so I'm Quincey, and as Cheryl said, I'm a doula up here in Bellingham, and I also offer specialty placenta services. So I do things like encapsulation, so I put your placenta dried up into capsules, I make truffles, I can make you a tincture, all kinds of stuff. I have 2 little boys. I've been a doula for, let's see, how long has it been? 4 or 5 years now, and then been doing placentas for almost as long, about probably 3 or 4 years. So that's me, and I'm super excited to talk about this. We need to talk about it more.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's almost a taboo subject. I think a lot of people who even want to have their placentas encapsulated or put into tincture form are almost afraid to talk about it because they don't want people to think that they're, really strange or weird or crazy. So they kind of do it in secret. So tell me about why people would even consider doing this.
So the biggest reason why I get mothers coming to me wanting encapsulation or any other form of what I do is to combat the baby blues. So after you have your baby, you're going through such big hormone fluxes, and you have this big hormone dump. Your body grew this organ specifically for this baby that grew inside of you, and then all of a sudden baby's gone and the placenta's gone. So by ingesting our placenta in whatever form, it can help ease those big waves. So instead of just dumping all those hormones at once, you're kind of tapering off and making it a little easier on your body. So that's a way that helps combat the baby blues by helping that hormone flux. And the second biggest reason is milk production. So there's a lot of the research behind placenta encapsulation is collected a lot from anecdotes rather than research. There's very little studies that's actually been conducted about it. So a lot of women that have gotten their placenta encapsulated report back things like increased mood, increased milk supply, but more energy. And those are the biggest ones that women come to me for.
Yeah, because there isn't a lot of double-blind controlled studies on them yet, but most of them are kind of case histories and what we hear back as reports, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So has there been any adverse effects or things that people have reported that aren't so good about doing it?
The ones that are most common, which are still not that common, is headaches and dizziness. Those are the 2 that I have heard. So, and out of all the placentas that I've done, which is a lot, probably over 200 now, I've had maybe 5 say that they've had headaches. And usually what I tell someone is to just lower their dose, whatever they're taking. That usually does the trick. And those are usually the people that are sensitive to supplements anyways.
Okay.
But it's headaches and dizziness that are the adverse effects, I guess, is what you would say. Okay.
So then there's different ways of processing it, right? There's people who will actually take it raw and make smoothies out of it. I can't quite go that far yet.
That's the line.
I know that's pushing it a little bit for me, but people do it, and it's more power to them. But what are some ways that you do? What do you do for encapsulations, tinctures? Tell me about what you do and what the differences are.
So the most popular one is encapsulation. So there's a few different methods that you can choose from, like the traditional Chinese medicine method, which involves steaming the placenta first before it's dehydrated. And then there's a couple other ways that the biggest difference is just dehydrating at a different temperature. All the temperatures of which are safe for ingestion. There's no risks if it's done safely. And there's also tinctures. So tincture is something just like any other herbal tincture, a piece of placenta, usually raw, but it can be done with dried placenta if there's like a comfort issue with the mom. That sits in 100 proof alcohol for a minimum of 6 weeks, and then it's drained out, so all you have is this tinctured placenta. So that's more of a long-term thing that you can take. So it lasts for a very long time, longer than capsules. Women will use that once they reach menopause. There's some groups of people that say that they give it to if they have a baby girl, they'll give it to their daughter once they reach puberty, and to help with PMS and things like that, which is really interesting. I haven't had any clients that have had children reach that age yet, so I haven't heard anything back personally. But I also do, which is super fun, is truffles. So this is for mamas that are really wanting this done, but are super weirded out by the fact that they're taking a capsule of their placenta. So, or somebody that just really likes chocolate, because you get a lot.
Or someone who doesn't like or can't swallow capsules or pills. So you said like with me. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's another one. So what I do is I make truffles, and in that, in the truffles and the chocolates is about 1 or 2 capsules worth. So I just use the finest powder, so you're not going to get any surprises in your truffles. And I mean, I hope you can attest to it that they just taste just like chocolate.
Yes.
Taste like you're eating anything strange. I can flavor them. I've had mamas get peppermint, some get raspberry, dark chocolate or white chocolate, and all different kinds of things. And that one's really fun to do. And you get an average placenta will get around 70 truffles. So lots of chocolate just for you.
Exactly. I know Lindsay just said that she's on her 3rd pregnancy and she wants to do placenta encapsulation this time. So it seems like it's the 3rd pregnancy. For me, it was my 3rd pregnancy too. It was the first time that I did it. And I have someone else who said, if I ever have a 3rd baby, I'm going to do placental encapsulation. So I don't know. We're trying to get this out so you have it for your 1st or 2nd babies as well. So
Exactly.
So yeah, I did chocolates with both of mine, partly because I just have trouble swallowing capsules. And so I would have to just take the powder, and I didn't want to do that. It doesn't taste very good. So truffles were great. I didn't even know it was an option when I first did it. And doula David actually did my first set of chocolate truffles. And they were awesome. And they had flavors to them. I had some mint ones and some raspberry ones. I think you did some with coconut. They are amazing. And no one touches your chocolates that are in your fridge for 2 months.
It's the best added bonus.
So, like, I don't know. You can't really beat your own personalized chocolates, I don't think. So, what else was I going to ask you? What else did you want to tell us about them right now? I mean, there's... How long? You said the tincture. Now, the tinctures take a while. So the tincture is going to be for someone who wants it right postpartum.
Right. So usually for women who want a tincture, they're also doing encapsulation in conjunction. So during that time, it's on my website, it's listed as an add-on. So it's a small amount of money added on to what you're paying for encapsulation, which is one of my biggest goals as offering this to the community is to do it affordably, because there's lots of women that say want a doula, but they can't afford a doula, which I totally understand. It's one of those things that's really hard to save for, and sometimes it's hard to communicate to your partner about why you want to doula. So I've gotten a handful of moms that this is what they're doing to help themselves postpartum and have that support, especially with families that are mothers that don't have extended family in town that they can communicate with a lot. So going back to that, the baby blues. So doing this affordably and offering it so that the majority of women in our community can take advantage of the awesome benefits that it has to offer. It's super important. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think it's great. I actually had my first two children, I didn't do encapsulation at all. I actually took their placentas and I planted trees with their placentas. So I did that with their placentas. I did something with it. I just didn't consume them. And then on my third pregnancy, they were both born in August. So I wasn't too worried about the days being shorter and the dreary skies and things like that. But with my third, I really considered doing encapsulation because of the stories of people with a little less baby blues. And I did that, and he was born in February. So it's still pretty dark.
Dreary
days. And I have to say that I had a much better postpartum period with him, my third child, on a dreary, wintry day than I did even with my first two children. So for me, that really did play a role, I think, because that's the only thing I really changed. And I didn't get mastitis. My first two, I got, both had mild case of mastitis at least once early on. And with him, I didn't get that at all. So for me, that seemed to help with those things. So I wanted to share that too. And they were chocolates. So like I said.
There you go. Yeah.
Chocolates.
Yeah. And I love hearing stories about women who didn't get it for their first or even their second child. And then they get it for their future children, because you see that difference that it made with them. You know, when you do it with your first, you don't necessarily, you don't get that comparison between not doing it and then doing it with a different postpartum. So that's really cool to hear that at least that helped.
And a lot of moms, I get that the same thing with chiropractic. They come in for their second or third baby to get chiropractic care, and I always say, I wish I would have done this with my first child. So I'm here spreading information for anybody. You can pick and choose what things you do want to do and don't want to do, but at least I'm getting the information out for people. Lindsay had a question here. Let me look real quick what she says. What would you say is the benefit of placenta encapsulation that don't suffer from postpartum depression? It can be hard to justify the cost if you haven't suffered from that in the past.
Okay. Yeah. So like what I mentioned earlier, it's not just postpartum depression or the baby blues. It's things like energy. Anyone knows that if you've had a baby, you're so tired. You're up all the time. And every time you see a newborn, they're sleeping. So you think, why am I not sleeping? But it just doesn't happen sometimes. And by taking your capsules, you can have that increased energy. I've had some women who will save capsules for farther down the road, not just that immediate fourth trimester, so that they have that little pick-me-up. They can take a couple capsules and then feel that little bit of energy. And then there's the milk production, like we talked about. It can help your milk supply. And I've had a client in the past who's already had a great milk supply. She's donated thousands of ounces of milk. And after taking her capsules, she took quite a few in the beginning. She started at the higher suggested dosage, and she had to taper down because it was helping a little bit too much.
Have you heard of anybody having the benefit of less after pains?
Yes, so that's a big one for women who get it immediate postpartum. So I've had clients who I've been also a doula for who want a smoothie. So what I've done is I've just taken a small piece of the placenta off prior to putting it in the fridge before getting it ready for encapsulation, and then popped it in a smoothie full of berries and yogurt and juice and all different kinds of stuff to help mask that kind of iron flavor. And it was her third baby. And she said that the uterine contractions afterwards, because those are extremely uncomfortable, she said that those were much less apparent after having the smoothie than with her first two. Yeah. Which is super awesome, because no one likes that.
Yeah, because I think both times I got mine back really quickly. I can't remember exactly. I mean, it seemed like it was within 36 hours or something from when I had my baby that I had chocolates back from you and from David. Yeah. And that was one thing that I noticed. I know it was a couple days after I had the baby. Yeah. So I had a couple days where it wasn't great, but once I started taking the chocolates, it was less than I had with my second child. So, but that was even with a day or two delay. So yeah, I just didn't know if I was.
And that's another reason why when you're choosing an encapsulator or somebody to make your truffles is usually what sometimes what they'll put on their website is kind of their turnaround. So my goal is to get it to you as soon as possible, because you want to get ahead of all of the postpartum things like the hormones and the after pains and and all of that. So instead of trying to stop it once it started, so getting it to you as soon as possible should be important to whoever you choose.
Yeah. I thank you for getting them to me quickly.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
And they were very tasty. And I had chocolates too, which I would imagine takes a little bit longer to process chocolates, because you have to definitely do the encapsulation basically and then add chocolates to it. So yeah, Lindsay said, I probably just don't know what I'm missing and will once I do it. So I was kind of the same way, Lindsay. I didn't have any major like postpartum depression or really, it wasn't that bad, but I did notice, and I was a little worried because it was the winter time that it would be more, and I felt great. So yeah, it was for me not having major symptoms or issues, and I breastfed fine and having supply issues with my first two kids. So it wasn't a dramatic difference for me, but I did notice some improvement in all those things. So yes, you should do it. And I'm happy that you're going to try it out, because I think you'll be excited. And I would suggest getting the chocolates because they're really yummy.
They're so fun to make too, especially with the kind of flavor combos that I have people request.
I think that on your website, right, you have a picture of the chocolates?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and I think those are actually my chocolates, right? Because I got those taken. So you can check them out and see what they look like.
Yeah, so if you do want to visit my website is, I have one that's dedicated just to my placenta services, and it's doulaQplacentas.com. And of course, my just doula website is doulaQ.com.
Yes, and we have that listed in the description of the video. I have it on the screen right now so people can look at it. But if you want to just go on the description of the video, you can just click right on it and it'll take you straight there. So yeah, that's awesome. So I'm glad that we got to dispel some myths. Or is there any other myths or questions that people usually have about placentas that we haven't covered?
Sometimes people talk about how it is a weird thing, like you said in the very beginning, it's kind of a taboo subject. Even women who are 100% I want to do this don't want people to know because they're embarrassed or uncomfortable talking about it. And the thing to really focus on is that it has nothing to do with anyone else except how it's going to help you. You're not making your family eat it. You're not making your mom look at it, things like that. So there's a lot of people who say that this is such a weird thing. Nobody does it. But lots of people do it. They're just not talking about it quite.
Yeah. It's a secret underground society.
Yeah, the Placenta Society.
And Lindsay wants to know if you're in Skagit County. So she's in Skagit, Whatcom, and Island County, I believe, right? That's where you are servicing people right now. You came out, I mean, she was wonderful. She lives in Bellingham, correct? You're in Bellingham, living there. Or you were a year and a half ago. She drove to my house in, I can't remember, because Shasta, my doula, and you were kind of like making plans. I had a baby and my people were taking care of me. So doulas are awesome. They help to take care of you so you don't have to worry about these details. But I think you either came to my house and picked it up or Shasta met you somewhere halfway, but you delivered it straight to my house.
I did. Yeah, in Mount Vernon.
Yeah. Oh, I was in Anacortes at the time.
Oh, Anacortes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you drove a long ways. I'm almost at I was almost at the Deception Pass Bridge. So yeah, it was quite a little jaunt for you to come out there. So yeah, Lindsay says she's having her baby at the Bellingham Birth Center. So right there, easy to pick it up and you deliver it, or someone can pick it up for you. So
yeah, exactly.
I had one question I forgot to ask you. I was going to ask, how long have people been doing this for?
Long time. So placentophagy, which is consuming your placenta in whatever way you choose to do that, has been going on for centuries and centuries, and it goes back to Chinese medicine. Encapsulation is fairly new, but still it kind of started gaining traction kind of in the 70s is when that's when I was doing research about trying to figure out how long encapsulation itself has been going on. That's when a lot of the publications or just articles have been written about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I know we all know that when we watch any mammal pretty much give birth, they're licking off and getting some of that placenta and ingesting it. And, I saw my horses get born or dogs get born, it's all. So it's not weird at all for anybody else, but us humans.
Except us, yeah. I think there's like 4 mammals that don't eat their placenta. One's a camel. One is us. And then there's like 2 others. But it's weird not to, almost, when you look at it that way.
It's kind of like a board question we had as chiropractors way back when, like, which mammals do not have 7 cervical vertebrae? And there's like 2, and one's like the 3-toed sloth, and I can't remember what the other one was. But like a giraffe or a whale and a human, we all have 7 cervical vertebrae. So it's like one of those trivia questions.
Okay. That's so funny.
Well, I thank you for joining us. I think we shed a lot of light on all this placenta talk and encapsulations and tinctures and chocolates and all kinds of things that people probably still gonna think are a little weird, but don't be afraid to join the underground encapsulation revolution.
Yeah, exactly. Just jump in
and talk about it and ask questions. And yeah, I'm happy that we got to chat about it anyway and let people know that it's an option for you and you might want to consider doing it. So any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I mean, I'll be looking for everyone's emails with more questions.
Yes, I know some of you will be shy and you'll come on later and you'll find us. So yeah, shoot Quincey an email, ask her anything you want to know. She will answer your questions for you. She is the expert in the placenta business. And feel free to join our Facebook page, because I do a talk like this every Monday on different topics, from everything from fitness to birth stuff to even some business goal setting, empowerment things. So I'm going to be bringing in lots of different people. I have like the next 8 Mondays booked already, and I'm still booking out from there. So and they're just like 30-minute chats. So thank you for coming, Quincey. And get in touch with her. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.